Hello everybody, welcome to another arts and crafts video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own postcard. As you can see, I really like collecting postcards. I have some more hanging on the wall behind the camera. They're like little pieces of artwork that you can collect. Here are the supplies that you'll be needing. You need cardstock or watercolor paper, either one will do. A ruler, a pencil, permanent marker, washable markers, color pencils, watercolor brushes, a cup of water, an eraser, some scrap paper, glue, either stick glue or liquid glue. And at one point I used a pair of scissors, but you don't really need the scissors. I'll make a note of it when that step comes up. So let's get started. Alright, so the first step is actually making the actual postcard that we're going to be drawing on. This step is pretty easy in my opinion. You just take your sheet of paper, your cardstock or your watercolor paper, whatever you have, and we're just going to fold it in half, like this. Now if you want, you can take your scissors and using the plastic, the handle part, just go over your fold like this, maybe once or twice. This will just make the fold very clean, so your paper should look like this, and it looks like a postcard, but it's still open. So we're gonna glue the inside, and once you think it's good, if you need to add more glue to the edges just to really stick them together, you can do that. So this is the part where you're gonna pick which side you want to be the back of your postcard and which side is gonna be the front. We're gonna just add a divider in the middle, like postcards usually have, where there's one side where you write your message and then the other side where you write the address and you put the stamp. When making the divider right now, you can always eyeball it if you're not good at measuring, but we want to put it roughly in the middle. Another thing to keep in mind when we're drawing the middle line, don't go all the way to the bottom because the post office is going to put a really long stamp on the bottom, so you want to leave some space for them to do that, and you just want to kind of make sure that when you're writing your letter, your postcard, you don't want to go to the bottom either, because then it's gonna get covered by their stamp. Your postcard should be 8.5 inches. So half of 8.5 is 4.25, and you can find, if your ruler is like mine and it has a lot of little marks on it, 4.25 is gonna be between 4 and 4.5. It's this longer tick mark in between these two. I'm putting a little dot on 4.25, and then on the bottom of it I'm also putting a little dot for 4.25. Like I said, if you're not good at measuring, you can put 4.5 if that's easier to find on the ruler. And now I use the ruler to connect the two dots that I made, so I can get a very straight line, and I'm gonna take a marker and draw over it. So here's what it looks like in the end. I left a little, probably like a 1/2 inch space on the bottom for the post office when they're gonna stamp it. So yeah, it's ready for me to write what I want to write and for the address and the stamp to go right there. So now we're gonna start decorating our postcards, and I'm gonna show you how to make a couple different designs. I would say to grab a scrap of paper or your sketchbook, and follow along with me as I'm drawing, just so you can practice, and then you can move on to drawing on your actual postcard. We're gonna do a little sun, and it says sending you sunshine, And then we're gonna do something that I hope looks cool. We're gonna do a tie-dye t-shirt with watercolors, and it says colors of summer. So here's my sun. Let me go over it with, I'm gonna go over it with a color pencil, because color pencils, they do a good job of resisting the water, meaning they won't smudge when I start painting. Pencil is good too, but you guys can't really see it, so let me go over it right now. So the first thing that I did was I drew a half circle, and then I drew a smile like that, and then two little hills or bumps for the sun's smiling eyes. For this step, I'm gonna switch to an orange color pencil because I'm gonna draw the sun's rays, which are just a whole bunch of lines. So just keep drawing a whole bunch of lines coming out of the sun and to the end of the paper, like that. Right now I'm just taking a clean eraser and I'm just very lightly rubbing out my pencil marks. But I drew with regular pencil very lightly, and then I drew with the color pencils very hard, so that the pencil underneath will be easy to erase. So here's my sun drawing. Now let's color it in. This is with Crayola washable markers. There's a few techniques you can use. You can scribble a whole bunch on a piece of scrap paper, dip your brush fully loaded with water, and then just kind of wet the big scribble that you just made, and then start watercoloring. If you don't want to do what I'm doing and have to stop and then make another scribble, you can do maybe like 3, and then so that way you can just keep going through them without having to stop and make another scribble. So here's what it looks like right now. So I'm just gonna let that part dry, and now I'm gonna color in the rays. And this is another technique that you can do when you're using watercolor painting with markers, is you can kind of outline like that and then paint on top of it. So and here's with the yellow. So I'm just gonna use the same technique for all the rays. So I'm just gonna skip forward because it's gonna take a little while. So here's what it looks like when I finished. You can see that the colors are bleeding into each other, and that's kind of the effect that I wanted. So I'm gonna let it dry because the paper got really wrinkly because I put a lot of water on it. So it's a little while later, and here's my sun. Here's how the sun came out. With both of my cards, something that I noticed was that they were curling, so I actually put them in between a bunch of books, and I left them like that for a good while, at least like 15 minutes, and they're both very flat. They're not curling anymore, which is great. And the last step for my sun is I'm gonna take the permanent marker. I'm gonna write "Sending you sunshine." I'm not gonna do anything fancy. I'm just gonna use my own handwriting. If you can write in script and you want to write your message in script, you can just leave it like this if you really like it. You could write your own message. You could say like "Hello Summer," or just "Hello," or whatever you want. So here's what it looks like after I went over the letters again, so you can really see the words better. It didn't go through because it's 2 layers of cardstock. Here's my sun postcard ready for me to write a cute message and send it off.